Hi, it's Grandma Karen. You have thread on your bobbin. Now we're going to thread the machine and we're going to thread the bobbin. Today we are talking about the Bernina 440. Before we begin, let's talk safety. If I work near the needle, I do one of the following. Move my foot pedal away from my foot, or unplug the foot pedal, or turn off the machine. Your presser foot needs to be in the up position before you begin threading the machine. You have seen this stitched note before. The presser foot must be in the up position when threading the top of the machine to ensure the thread goes into the tension discs. We will do a little experiment with this at the end of the lesson to help you understand. Put your spool of thread on the proper spool pin. Vertical spool pin for stacked thread, horizontal spool pin for cross-wound thread. Review lesson 7 if you have forgotten. I'm going to put my cross-wound thread on this horizontal spool pin with this correct spool cap. And if I'm going to use stack thread, then I'm going to put it on this vertical spool pin. Either way, it's going to thread the same way. So from the spool, we're going to go over to this back thread guide. And to use the back thread guide, sometimes you have to stand up to thread this thread guide. You're going to hold the thread between both your hands, and you're going to hold it under, and you're just going to pull up. Then I'm going to put the thread into this groove along the top of the machine, and it's going to pass through the tension discs that are right there. Here's a close-up of threading the top of the machine. The pink arrow is pointing to the tension discs inside the machine. The thread continues down the groove down the front of the machine, and it goes under this thread guide that has a check spring or regulator inside. Then it's going to go back up the left side of this groove here on this side of the machine. As you pull the thread up over the top here, you're going to hug this right side of this metal bar here, right here. So I'm going to hug the right side. I'm going to go all the way to the back and then pull it forward, and it's going to catch on the take-up lever here. If you don't do this right, if you don't hug this side and go all the way to the back, two things can happen. The thread may not go into the take-up lever where the thread needs to go, and this will make horrible stitches. The other thing that could happen is that the thread goes into the take-up lever the wrong way, and it gets stuck, kind of caught, and it won't move. It is complicated to get the thread out if it gets stuck, so it's important to pull the thread along this right side of the metal plate right here when you're coming to the top of the groove, and go all the way to the back before coming down. Here's a close-up of the thread drawn on with a marker. The dashed lines show where the thread is under the check spring guide at the bottom of the metal plate. The thread goes down, then up, then down. Then it goes behind the large guide that is shown with the red arrow. Here's a close-up of the take-up lever and the metal plate. Remember the take-up lever? We learned about it in lesson 5. The take-up lever needs to be in its highest or its up position when you thread the top of the machine. The take-up lever is automatically in this position when you turn the machine on. If it is not correct, push the needle up button. You may need to push the button 2 times to get it in the up position, or you can turn the hand wheel towards you until it is in the up position. The red arrow points to the large thread guide. The thread goes into the guide from the right. Now look at the thread guide on the needle bar. The green arrow is pointing to it. The thread slides in from the left side. You will need scissors to cut the thread before threading the needle. There are many types of scissors. The scissors in the left photo are fabric cutting scissors. Notice that all of these have a piece of yarn tied to the handle. You should not cut thread or paper or do crafts with fabric scissors. Everyone in my house knows not to use these. Cutting a paper or thread with fabric scissors makes them dull, and then they will not cut fabric. They are expensive, so don't use them to cut thread. The middle photo shows small embroidery and school scissors. If they are sharp, they work well to cut thread. The right photo has standard scissors in it, great for cutting paper and doing crafts. Some of them are also good for cutting threads. The left photo shows cutting the thread on the diagonal. The right photo is of the needle. I wet my finger with my mouth. You could get this wet in the sink if that seems too gross to you. Then you wet the back of the eye of the needle. The spit or water on the back of the needle helps draw the thread into the needle. Hold the thread with your thumb and index finger. Have about 1/2 inch of thread sticking out. Not too much or the thread droops down. Push the thread through the eye of the needle. Sometimes it's easier to see the eye if the presser foot is on. It gives a silver or white background behind the eye. As the thread goes into the eye, continue to push the thumb and finger to the back of the needle and grab hold of the thread. Pull out about 4 to 6 inches of thread. The thread should not be wrapped around the needle, like the photo on the left. This happens sometimes. Pull the thread down a little and it will go back into the correct position so it is coming straight off the needle, like the photo on the right. The thread tail should be coming from the back of the eye of the needle. There are many ways to thread the needle. We will talk about them in our next lesson. Let's thread the last 2 thread guides. First, this large one right here. You're going to hold the thread in your hand like this, and you're going to put it over the top like that, and it just slides in place. It's easier to thread this next guide if you put the needle down a little bit, which I have done. And then I'm going to take my thread between my 2 hands like this, and I'm going to put it on top of that, and I'm going to come in off of the left side. And there we have both of those threaded. Now watch me thread the needle. I cut the thread on a diagonal like this. I put my presser foot down. Now that we're past the tension discs, we can put the presser foot down, and I'm going to put my needle in its up or top position also. So I wet the back of the needle. I have my thread holding by my thumb and my finger with about a 1/2 inch or less sticking out in front of it, and then I'm going to just thread the eye of that needle. Sometimes it takes 1 or 2 times to get it to go in there. So then I push it in, and as I get to the thread in the back, I push my finger and my thumb back also to pull that thread out a little bit so it doesn't come back out of the eye. And then I can grab it with my other hand and pull on it like that. If your thread is too thick, it may not fit in the eye of the needle. We will talk about needles and thread a little bit more in our next lesson. So I can show you on this giant needle a little bit easier than showing you on the machine. I took my thread, and this is a bigger thread, so hopefully you can see this, and I wet the back of my needle, cut this on the diagonal, I put it in there, and then I let my fingers go around to the back and grab a hold of it and pull it at least a little bit so that I can let go and then pull it with my other hand. And that's how you thread the needle. Let's do our experiment with the tension. Put the presser foot up, pull the top thread towards you. See how easily it pulls? Now put the presser foot down. When I pull on the thread, it is tight. This is because the tension discs are closed. This keeps a nice even tightness on the top thread. When the foot is up, the thread goes between the tension discs. If the foot is down when we thread the tension at the top of the machine, the thread may sit on top of the tension discs instead of going between them. You would have terrible stitches if this happened. Putting thread on the bobbin is called winding the bobbin. Putting the bobbin into the machine is called threading the bobbin. The bobbin goes into the bobbin case. There are 2 kinds of bobbin cases. Some machines have what we call a drop-in bobbin. Your machine has what I call a removable bobbin case like this. Your bobbin will have to be threaded into the bobbin case. In other words, the thread needs to follow a certain pathway to work correctly. The bobbin case also has a tension on it. This is controlled by a little screw. If your bobbin case is inside the machine, you will have to take it out. Open the bobbin case cover like this. Lift this little latch that's right here. And then you're going to grab hold of that latch and you're going to pull your bobbin straight out. So when the latch is open like this, my bobbin will not come out. And to take the bobbin out, I'm going to just let go of the latch, going to drop it into my hand, and instead of just yanking this thread out, I'm going to gently pull the bobbin thread out of the bobbin case, or I'm going to cut that thread and gently pull it out. Lay the bobbin on the table or on the palm of your hand. Flip the bobbin over until it's forming a Q. Q is for quality stitches. Hold the bobbin case with the whole side up or facing you. Put the bobbin into the bobbin case. The bobbin should still be forming a Q with the bobbin and the thread. Turn the bobbin so that the side is facing you. Find the little slit in the side. The pink arrow is pointing to the slit on this bobbin case. In the photo, you can see that I have pulled the tail of the thread into the slit. Notice that my thumb is holding the bobbin so it does not spin. This makes it easier to thread the bobbin case. The left photo shows the thread has been pulled up until it stops. The red dashed line shows the thread under the metal spring. The right photo shows that the thread is pulled to the right until it's coming out of the hole. Leave 4 to 6 inches of tail coming from the bobbin case. To put the bobbin case into the machine, hold the bobbin case with the latch open. Put the bobbin into the hook area. See the post that is in the machine? The green arrow points to it. The center hole in the bobbin goes into this post. This bobbin case has a little finger on it. The finger is pointing up. The blue arrow points to it. The notch is pointing to the left side. Place the bobbin case in your hand with the hole facing up. Drop the bobbin into the case, making sure that the thread and the bobbin are still forming a Q. Then you're going to turn the bobbin to the side, and holding your thumb on this bobbin so it doesn't spin, you're going to pull the thread over to the right, and then you're going to pull it into this hole right there. And you're not going to yank on it down like that. You're going to pull it like this. We don't want to yank on this spring because that is part of the tension of the bobbin. Now to put it into the machine, we're going to open the latch. And with the latch open, we don't have to worry about the bobbin falling out. And we're going to find the post that's right there. And we're going to put our bobbin so that is going right on the post. The hole in the bobbin is going there. I have the finger pointing up, and I'm going to just push on that until you hear it click. Sometimes it doesn't make that clicking noise, so you want to jiggle this to make sure it's in correctly, or you're going to take your hand and you're going to turn the hand wheel back and forth to make sure that it's in there correctly. If it's not in there tight, then it's going to fall out when you start sewing. Use the manual that came with your machine for photos of how to thread it if you've forgotten. Your machine also has some arrows to show you where the thread goes next. Now it's time for your homework. Show your mentor that you can do the following. Properly thread the top of the machine going through all the guides and tension. Properly thread the bobbin case. Thread the needle. 1. Place thread on the correct spool pin. 2. Does the presser foot need to be up or down for threading the top of the machine? A dull needle, a machine full of lint, and a machine needing oil can cause bad stitches. Next time we will learn a little about sewing machine needles. We will take out the old needle and replace it with the new needle. All sewing machines need to be cleaned of lint and dust. We will learn to clean and oil your machine. See you next time. And here's a note to the mentor. For our next lesson, you will need the following: a soft brush to clean the machine, sewing machine oil, sewing machine needles. Universal size 80/12 are good. And for thread, cotton-covered polyester or all-purpose thread or 50-weight cotton thread are best. You may have the supplies already. You can buy them at fabric stores or online. Thank you for helping someone learn to sew.